Run, occupier, run! Ukrainian special forces from the GUR, led by Kyrylo Budanov, have entered Pokrovsk. Lukashenko has lost his mind and threatened the West and the US with a nuclear strike. Alla Pugacheva has become an enemy of the people. Another victory of Russian propaganda over common sense and the minds of Russians. Blackout in the Moscow region. Friendly drones visited the cities around Russia's capital. The secret life of Maria Zakharova. While Russians are searching for gasoline and tightening their belts because of Putin's war, Putin's media prostitute has fabulously enriched herself. Trump, despite Orbán's pleas, ordered him to give up Russian blood oil. Hello everyone, my name is Viktor Orbán, and now we will discuss with you all the most important and resonant things that are being talked about in the world, in Ukraine, and of course in the debates of civilization. About everything that is trending, let's go. To launch nuclear weapons at Western countries. Alexander Lukashenko voiced such a sharp threat. The brief friendship between Trump and the two-faced Luka is over. The Belarusian dictator, having received nuclear warheads, suddenly became emboldened and decisively told off the entire West and the administration of Donald Trump.
I'll let you in on a secret. We're negotiating with the Americans. These negotiations are going differently, and they're tough. Well, and literally the next day, or rather that same day, after the night when those balloons flew, the Americans sent us a letter saying that the Belarusians were to blame for what happened and that the authorities and Lukashenko must immediately apologize to Lithuania and do so publicly. Well, to hell with that, and so on. For what exactly? I already said that we will apologize, but only if we're actually at fault. What would I be apologizing for otherwise?
To publicly tell Trump to go to hell is, to put it mildly, bold. Even he never allowed himself that. Not even your bear would do that. Not even in the deepest drunken stupor. But after receiving a one-of-a-kind Oreshnik, which can carry a nuclear warhead, Lukashenko clearly started to feel like the Bulbo Caesar. And then Ostap really got going.
The Oreshnik is a terrifying weapon. It will be put on combat duty in December. For what purpose? I want them to understand that we can strike if things go badly. So we'll sit down with Putin, make a decision, and strike.
I don't know about the West, but Bulba the Dreamer definitely didn't scare Ukraine. We're already used to it. Something tells me that the combat potential of the Oreshnik is about on par with other outstanding achievements of Russian technology, which also date back to the Soviet Union.
Maybe we should strike? We definitely will strike. And more than once. And
what do you think? Will the Belarusian Bulba Caesar answer for his words? Especially after such threats directed personally at Trump and the entire West. Write your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and be sure to mention where you're watching us from. And how many of your fellow countrymen support the Ukrainian people in their fight against the Russian occupiers? The chief Ukrainian intelligence officer, Kyrylo Budanov, has entered Pokrovsk. Right now, the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine is conducting a special operation at the hottest spot on the Russian-Ukrainian front. The first to report the start of the operation was the journalist and economist Oliver Carroll, who published a video showing the helicopter landing of GUR and SSO fighters in areas of Pokrovsk under the control of Russian occupiers. Analysts from the Institute for the Study of War claim that Ukrainian defense forces are carrying out successful counterattacks on the northern outskirts of the city. According to Ukrainian media, citing sources in the command, the GUR and SSO operation is being conducted in the industrial zone area. This is a very difficult sector, as the occupiers are placing key emphasis on the industrial area from a logistics standpoint. It is impossible to determine the time frame for the completion of the operation. The operation is ongoing. Ukrainian heroes are fighting under extremely difficult conditions. Hundreds of FPV drones are flying over the city. By the way, Putin's generals have already rushed to spread lies about the supposed destruction of the landing force. They triumphantly reported the elimination of all special forces who landed from the helicopter. Of course, this is just another piece of nonsense that the cowardly Putin commanders are feeding to their bunker-dwelling boss. According to Ukrainian military sources, the operation led by Kyrylo Budanov is ongoing. Now, a direct quote. This information is just as fake as Gerasimov's report to Putin a few days ago claiming that Pokrovsk was surrounded. The GUR has a long reach and can get not only to Pokrovsk, but also to Moscow. In the Moscow region, Ukrainian intelligence operatives blew up the Koltsevoy oil products pipeline. According to the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, the explosion simultaneously disabled 3 low-pressure pipes that supplied gasoline, diesel, and aviation kerosene for the Russian army. The anti-drone net and security did not save the facility. A blackout is approaching Moscow. For the first time, residents of the Moscow region experience the delights of emergency shutdowns and life without electricity. At night, during a massive Ukrainian drone attack, the city of Zhukovsky lost power. Monitoring Telegram channels report that several hundred drones attacked Russia overnight. According to them, Tula was hit as Moscow and the Moscow region came under attack. Local correspondents are clearly impressed. Damn, it was literally right over my head. The whole house was shaking. I could even hear its buzzing, for fuck's sake. Too many got through. The clumsy Russian air defense can't cope. Against the backdrop of increased strikes, the Tyumen region has begun recruiting reservists to guard infrastructure facilities.
In connection with the emerging threat of the Ukrainian armed forces using long-range unmanned aerial vehicles, there is now a risk of strikes on important aviation facilities and other residential areas in the Tyumen region. To increase the level of protection for important aviation facilities, a decision has been made. The use of the most well-prepared, patriotically minded citizens to protect these facilities.
Previously, the authorities of the Leningrad region acknowledged the failure of Russian air defense. There they began searching for volunteers who would join mobile fire teams for 15,000 rubles a month. Their task is to protect oil terminals in Usluga. Let me remind you that previously the port had been subjected to serious attacks more than once, after which Russian oil exports noticeably decreased.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
And while the Russian authorities are urgently trying to patch up the holes by recruiting volunteers and reservists, Russians are adapting to new realities of life, without internet or communication. For example, residents of Krasnodar are gradually giving up their phones and switching to walkie-talkies.
And this is something different. There's no Yugoslavian picnic here.
The only problem is, I'm afraid there won't be enough walkie-talkies for everyone. So here's my advice to Russians. Just in case, it's time to learn how to use carrier pigeons.
You know, when everything is calm, measured, and stable here, we get bored. Stagnation. We crave some action.
Stalin approves. Russians asked for benches but got execution walls instead. In the Kaliningrad region, officials listened to residents' requests to install benches on the embankment. But for some inexplicable reason, instead of regular benches, the authorities opted for vertical benches. The locals didn't appreciate the design, calling them execution walls.
Instead of installing normal human benches on the renovated promenade in Zelenogradsk, they put this here. What is this even for, and how are you supposed to use it? I've heard that these benches are called execution walls. It's unclear what the city administration was thinking when they designed this, but it was clearly not about making things comfortable and convenient for people. And what do you think about these standing benches? Will they ever put in proper ones, or will they just leave this?
Russia, welcome your heroes. In the Belgorod region, a representative of the new Putin elite escaped from custody. He had previously killed a local resident and raped his wife, who was a schoolteacher.
Late last night, a serviceman who had committed a serious crime escaped from custody.
On October 29th, a typical representative of the Russian army, Alexei Kostraikin, committed a serious crime. He was almost immediately apprehended in hot pursuit. The security forces even managed to boast about their brave work. But on the night of October 31st to November 1st, the criminal, he managed to escape. The governor of Belgorod region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, ordered everyone to be mobilized, the self-defense units, the People's Volunteer Squads, and the military police. At the same time, people are not being told whether the fugitive is armed or not.
Mobilize all self-defense units immediately, mobilize all the volunteer squads, and coordinate with the police departments. This is what we discussed today with Vasily Petrovich, Nikolai Nikolaevich. In other words, all the resources we have need to be coordinated with the Ministry of Internal Affairs staff in order to strengthen or increase the number of people involved in the search, provide assistance, and return the criminal to law enforcement custody.
The secret of the Russian Foreign Ministry's press drunkard has become a reality. Journalists from the We Can Explain project have uncovered some interesting details about the life of Maria Zakharova, the press secretary of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As it turns out, the staff serving Putler and Lavrov have plenty of secrets. For example, Masha is hiding a 150 square meter apartment in a historic building near the Prosecutor General's office. She clearly doesn't pay taxes on her second unofficial salary, which is paid to her by propagandist Dmitry Kiselyov. She also hides her husband, whose company is getting richer and fatter on government contracts. After the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine at the end of 2022, the media prostitute bought a prestigious 150 square meter apartment on Bolshaya Dmitrovka. She paid 100 million rubles for it. Now this property is valued at 160 million. It's obvious to everyone that Zakharova's official income wouldn't be enough for such a purchase. In 2023, she transferred the apartment to her father. Besides the foreign ministry, one of Manya's employers turned out to be the propaganda outlet Russia Today. The one who leads the coincidence, I don't think it's Dmitry Kiselev. Interestingly, the press alcoholic Zakharova has never publicly reported her income and property. He personally gave her permission to do this by his order, Sergei Lavrov. Moreover, as journalists discovered, Zakharova hid her husband's real surname for more than 20 years. His name is Andrei Makarov. He works in the management of a company involved in geology. In just 1 year, Maria Zakharova's husband received government contracts worth, attention, 386 million rubles.
Well, just look at how you're behaving. Just look at yourself. You've got a shiner under your eye, haven't you? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Hungary is preparing for a gasoline shortage due to sanctions against Russian oil. The day before, Donald Trump confirmed that his good friend Viktor Orbán tried to negotiate a personal exemption, but, as he put it, he turned him down already. On November 8th, Orbán, he asked for an exemption, but after considering his request, we did not grant it. Still, he asked for an exemption again. I want to mention that he's my friend, someone I know well, yet he continued to ask for an exemption, repeating his request. What else could I do in this situation? Consumers and services. These changes will take effect starting January 1st of next year. The Russian auto industry never ceases to amaze. A Russian bought himself a brand new Lada Niva for 1.6 million rubles. And what do you think happened? Before even reaching 1,000 kilometers, the miracle car literally started falling apart.
Lada Niva, brand new. This isn't the first Niva I've owned. Before this, I had 2 used Nivas, and this time I decided to buy a new one, hoping that, first of all, it wouldn't break down, and second, if it did break down, the dealership where we are now would repair it under warranty. Within the first 1,000 kilometers, the transfer case broke, it started leaking, and the clutch cylinder started leaking too. Now, we'll try to show all of this in general terms. Show you. The Niva's axle shaft snapped off. The clutch cylinder is currently leaking, the gearbox is leaking, the transfer case cylinders are leaking, and the axle shaft has completely snapped off.
According to the owner, the dealer refused to perform warranty repairs, blaming all the issues and breakdowns on the installed reinforced bumper.
A special Lada dealer arranged for an independent inspection in the presence of Lada representatives. And the inspection, we're showing a part of this inspection, proved that all the defects found on the car are of manufacturing origin. Nevertheless, Avtovaz refuses to repair them, citing that I have. The design of the car has been changed in the sense that there is something installed. I have a reinforced bumper, so they believe that's why my radiator isn't working. A legal claim was sent to Avtovaz and Viz, the companies that manufacture these cars. No response has been received yet. As of today, the lawsuit is ready, the court case is set, and I will go to court and show how I will return this car back to Avtovaz. Well...
So, did you manage to handle it?
Informers and propagandists are doing their job. Once the idol of millions of Russians, Alla Pugacheva, thanks to the active efforts of Z-patriots and propagandists from Goebbels TV, is now perceived by Russians as an enemy and a foreign agent. And this is despite the fact that, unlike her husband Maxim Galkin, Pugacheva does not have this status. 13% of Russians surveyed by SIOM considered her a foreign agent, although the singer, unlike her husband, is not included in the Ministry of Justice's registry. Respondents were asked which foreign agents they know. Pugacheva became the second most recognized after the comedian Galkin. The status of family member of a traitor to the motherland already existed in the USSR, which Putin admires, and was actively used for repressions in 1937.
Why don't we just shoot him? The situation allows us to do so.
Ryazan is drowning in sewage. Back on October 27th in Ryazan, not far from Central Park, a sewer line burst. The streets and houses around are flooded with filth. But the authorities do not respond in any way to the complaints of the locals.
Dear Slavic respected administration of the city of Ryazan, esteemed head of Hospital. Here I am walking home from work in the evening. Nothing has been done as far as I can tell. It seems that today the Vodokanal employees just made a futile attempt to clear it. The sewer collectors, but they couldn't handle it, so the sewage is still flowing down the street.
In 5 days, the only ones who responded at all were the local housing inspection. But when the residents of the flooded houses asked them to check the basements, they refused, citing the unbearable stench, and simply left.
Well, we don't know what to do. So what, does the president have to give an order for them to fix our sewage? Why is it that our city authorities... Look, there's no rain right now, but just look at the street, that's sewage. And it's even steaming, it's just flowing down the street, sewage is running everywhere.
And finally, an unexpected story about how Donald Trump, after Alaska, just couldn't resist and came to visit Butler. A female lookalike of the US president was spotted at a bus stop in Perm.
Excuse me, have you ever noticed that you look like Donald Trump? Right here. Not even once? No. You really do look alike. I mean, of course, in a female sort of way, but you do resemble him. And yes, no, he's good looking and so are you.